Welcome everybody to the Castbar, the World of Warcraft podcast, channeling your content with no interrupts. This is episode number 48, coming to you strangely on a Monday at approximately 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. Our schedules were a little bit crazy this week, and we weren't able to get the show recorded yesterday, and today's even going to be a short day for us, but we are making it happen. With me, as always, and at least hopefully, I have Evan.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, and Florian.
Hey there.
So, what have you guys been up to? Anything new going on this week?
Just doing the fall seasonal stuff at work now because we work outside. So when the seasons change, so does our workload. You know.
What does that entail for you? Like,
well, yeah, right now I'm doing professional gardening at people's houses. So a lot of our clients want pumpkin and gourd arrangements. You know, so we put those out there for Halloween, and they look pretty ballin', honestly.
I can't quite imagine yet a day when I make enough money that I pay someone to change my garden for me based on the season.
Yeah, hopefully it makes sense to some people. Hopefully it makes sense to more people as time goes on.
I don't know. I currently live in, it's technically a fourplex, but it's kind of like just an oversized apartment building that only has 4 units in it. And I'm really loving this whole, I don't have to mow, I don't have to shovel snow, I don't take care of anything, I just walk outside and it's pretty, and I'm like, oh, that's real nice, thanks.
Yeah, there are big companies that do that for you, and that's part of my industry, so I'm glad you're a supporter of that. Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I mean, if I end up having my own house and I'm still able to, obviously it's part of the rent and stuff here, but if I could be that person that pays someone like you to just come and make my yard pretty for me all year long, I would love that, because I hate yard work.
Yeah, that's what we try to capitalize on. People that hate yard work, who don't have a green thumb, but like having a nice green space.
And what about you, Florian? How's your week going? You're fully settled in and everything now?
Oh yeah. Been enjoying the long weekend thanks to Columbus Day. And yeah, that's pretty much been that. I was planning to go out and explore the island a little bit, but I wound up buying the new expansion for Destiny, and it ended up being really good, so that was pretty much most of my weekend.
That's what I've heard, that the Taken King and the changes that came along with it are phenomenal.
Yeah, it's now a fully functional game. It has a plot now.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's crazy. They fixed almost everything that was broken.
Good.
So, at least enough to keep me amused all weekend. So I know that's not saying much because I'm easily amused, but
we'll see if it gets you through a few weekends.
Yeah, it's the true test of time right there.
All right. Well, everyone, if you noticed this upon your download, this episode should only be about 30 or 40 minutes long. We are only going to be doing news today because of life conflicts and stuff. And we're going to jump to the news right now. I'm pretty sure our news bumper is my favorite bumper. Anyway, so a lot of the news this week is going to be about BlizzCon, since we got a little bit of information about that in recent times, including the schedule. But before we go on to the schedule, the first thing I want to talk about is Will Wheaton. He is going to be hosting BlizzCon. Will Wheaton is a former Star Trek star and all-around nerd, and Star Trek star might be a little bit big. He played a supporting role. Anyway, Will Wheaton, he hosts what is it called? It's not literally called the Tabletop Show, but that's always what I reference it as. They play board games and tell you if they're good or not. And he's going to be hosting BlizzCon. And he's been kind of letting out information on his blog because apparently Will Wheaton previously hadn't been a real big Blizzard fan. So he currently admitted to being addicted to Hearthstone, and even though he's a little bit intimidated by it, he's going to be starting WoW. Do you guys follow Will Wheaton at all in his nerddom?
I haven't heard anything about him since I was watching him on the Next Generation. So yeah, he's grown up now. He was young in that show back in the 90s, just like a lot of us were, I guess, about that time.
Sure.
So that's cool. I mean, yeah, recognizable. I needed to be reminded who he was, what character he played, but yeah, why not? Very nice.
And I think some of this might be coming from, we recently just had PAX Prime about, what was it, like a month and a half ago, and Wizards of the Coast hired Will Wheaton to be the host for the unveiling of a whole bunch of the stuff from Magic the Gathering. And, you know, maybe Blizzard saw that and was like, hey, you did a good job on that. That looked great. You know, you wanna come talk for us since you're like the nerd lord? I mean, you know, between Star Trek, he runs several different things for tabletop games. He's real big into D&D, huge into D&D. I can't remember the name of the show, but there was a while there where he would go on with one of the world's best DMs and run and play D&D like live in front of an audience and stuff. And now he's invading our video game worlds. And you probably, for some of you, you probably also know him as Sheldon's arch enemy on The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, that's news to me too. This is something I want to bring up. I'm not really familiar with like a convention having a host that's outside of the company like BlizzCon having a host that isn't one of their people. Is this common?
Who was it that we had? There was the one actor comedian guy that had been hosting BlizzCon like. He's average height, blonde, not very funny. Darn. What's his name? I'm gonna try and look it up for a second. But I'll see if I can't find it.
Michael Morrow? No, not that guy. It's a co-host. This is the great thing about casting on computers. You can try to more. I'm getting more hosts to perform during closing night. This is back in 2007.
BlizzCon events. This doesn't actually show who the... Oh, wait.
Chris Hardwick, a.k.a. Nerdist, hosting BlizzCon 2014. The Nerdist.
That might be him. I need a picture of him. Images. No, that's not him. Like, he did the one last year, but there was this blonde comedian that was doing it the years prior.
Christian Finnegan?
Maybe? I don't know. I'm bad with names, all right? I can't even spell Christian.
He has... It's just like the religion.
Finnegan. Christian... yeah, I think that's right. I don't know. Anyway, not that important. We have Will Wheaton now. Hopefully that means it goes well, and I'm going to use this transition to our next topic because I hope that the energy that Will Wheaton brings on stage will make BlizzCon a little bit more interesting, because right now, with the schedule we have, I'm questioning it. It isn't confirmed. We have a tentative 2015 BlizzCon schedule. BlizzCon is always split into 2 days, and that's Friday and Saturday. And day one, they always have their big opening ceremony, which generally there's a big announcement at the opening ceremony. Bunch of panels and stuff for each game. Then the day two, bunch of panels and stuff for each game, and then a closing ceremony. Now, actually, rewind just a second. Florian, what is your experience with Will Wheaton?
Pretty much the exact same as Evans. As far as I knew, he hadn't done anything since Star Trek. If he has, then I don't know about it.
Sure. So we're going to just kind of dissect this BlizzCon schedule. And the reason that I really want to kind of dissect this, because I want to talk about each little point, because when I first looked at this BlizzCon schedule, I was very unimpressed and questioning what was going to happen at BlizzCon. So opening ceremony, obviously there's nothing we can really talk about with opening ceremony. You know, they're all like, welcome to BlizzCon, might have a big announcement. So the very first thing after the opening ceremony is World of Warcraft Legion World and Content Overview. And that is an 1.5 hour long panel on the main stage. So this is just going to be kind of like, what, a masturbatory session for their expansion that we don't get till next year?
I wouldn't know if I would call it masturbatory. I don't know. They're probably just... I'm sure there'll be more details coming out. It'll actually be more information as opposed to just repeating the same stuff. I don't see anything about that to really be negative about.
So and this is probably just going to be the big info dump, really, that we get for Legion then, right?
Maybe one of them, because there's a second one the next day, which is discussing the game systems,
Right.
which I'm personally more interested in because I want to find out about some of the things they've hinted at. And, they're probably just keeping that stuff separate. Like, they've got the world building and story, and then the actual nuts and bolts of the game, which makes sense because those are two different things that two different types of people are going to be really into.
So you said you're interested in the game systems. Are you speaking about like the changes to PvP or the artifacts, or is there something else that is slipping my mind at the moment?
The thing I'm most interested in is something that was teased only like once. Somebody brought it up, was that WoW was going to have an adventure mode, and no one ever elaborated on what that was or what it meant. I'm hoping they will explain what an adventure mode is there.
Yeah, because that completely went over my head too. Yeah, so, well, since you said we don't really have anything on that, well, maybe that is a big deal, and that's something that I can look forward to. Moving on, though, now, the day after BlizzCon, we will be getting the StarCraft II Legacy of the Void, which is the the second expansion, the third entry into the StarCraft II franchise. Now, there are 3 panels across the 2 days for StarCraft II, and the first one here, right after the World of Warcraft panel, is the future of StarCraft II. Obviously, we don't know what the story holds in Legacy of the Void, but from where I was, in my understanding from the first 2 stories and how this game was supposed to go, I was under the understanding that StarCraft II would be over after Legacy of the Void. Are we possibly getting something else?
It's possible. I don't think it was planned, and it definitely seems like a weird move considering they've got one expansion per race. The way StarCraft, it kind of makes sense for StarCraft.
Yeah.
But yeah, they might do that. Blizzard, if nothing else, they like to just do things off the cuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just decided they were going to make more stuff.
Well, go ahead, Evan.
Here's what's going to happen, man. They're going to turn it into a serial content release game. I think they're just going to keep on releasing them over and over again, and just make it more of a here's your next installment, and just be more on an annual cycle. Kind of like how they want Blizzard to do with World of Warcraft.
Well, the only reason that I question that, sure, if they wanted to do that, they could, but the reason that it kind of seems confusing to me is because there was an interview that we talked about a few weeks ago, a month or 2 ago, in which they're talking about what the StarCraft team is going to be doing after Legacy of the Void, and one of the things they were talking about was returning to the Warcraft RTS franchise.
Sorry, I guess they're going to make StarCraft the Warcraft RTS franchise, or you're talking about they're going to re-release the Warcraft RTS as Warcraft 4?
They were talking to the head, because the StarCraft, the people that work on StarCraft is a single team, and that team, the lead of the team, had an interview a month or 2 ago in which they were talking about possibly returning to Warcraft RTS games after StarCraft.
Okay, now I feel you. It kind of just brings up the question: do you think they're kind of done with StarCraft after this new Protoss expansion comes out? Are they done with Diablo 3? Are they doing 4 now, or could they keep on making content for Diablo 3, indefinitely?
Well, we'll get to Diablo in just a second when we get down to it on terms of the schedule. I don't think StarCraft is ever done. I am positive that we will get a StarCraft 3 at some point. It's just that with the reason that I question it is because it specifically says the future of StarCraft 2, which makes me think that they're going to do more with StarCraft 2. If they just said the future of StarCraft, then I would assume that we'd be moving on to StarCraft 3 and stuff in the future.
I guess so, yeah. It just depends on whether they're going to stick to, like Florian said, the pattern of having 3, races per expansion and then moving on. That seems likely. Why wouldn't they just stick with that?
Because Blizzard likes money.
Yeah,
so
again, StarCraft 2, the way they've released it has been different from Brood Wars and StarCraft, the original. So they're already in kind of a different structure. I'm not sure it's really easy to predict what they're going to do with that franchise.
So the next panel is World of Warcraft Cinematics, The Road to Legion. So is this going... and it's an hour long. Is this just going to be an hour of talking about cinematics in the expansion?
Yeah, but I don't know if one of the things. Yeah, they could be playing a lot of cinematics. They could be doing an art review, a storyboarding review, probably a lot of storyboarding. But they don't want to give too much away about Legion, so maybe it'll be a retrospective, or is this Legion?
What do you think, Florian?
I don't really see how there's enough to talk about for 1 hour with cinematics, unless they're going to actually pull out some of the actual cinematics that are going to be in Legion and talk about them. But that would be pretty spoilerific, so I doubt that's going to happen. I really don't see what there is to fill with an hour. I mean, they could have released the official cinematic for Legion, the one that plays when we boot up the game for the first time.
Sure.
But I don't see how that's a whole hour's worth of content, really.
It says The Road to Legion is the title for the World of Warcraft cinematics, or the subtitle. I mean, that's going to, I think, be a lot of development and what goes into making a cinematic a whole lot, The Road to Legion. But you got to imagine, is it the road from now to Legion, like from conception of Legion to the fulfillment of the making the cinematic, or is it the road from 2004 to Legion? Is it a history?
Could it also be, because there was some complaints with people about how the story for World of Warcraft to get from Miss Pandaria to get to Warlords of Draenor was tied into a book. Could we instead maybe get some sort of drawn out I don't know if it'd be an hour long cinematic. That seems a little bit too hopeful. But some sort of dynamic form of storytelling that takes us from the Warlords of Draenor to Legion.
Oh, that would be something.
So, I mean, the road to Legion is literally the events that transpire between Warlords to then.
If I was a Blizzard con attendee, I would be blown away if they played a 1 hour movie of the stuff that happens after Warlords.
I don't imagine it'll be a 1 hour movie. Obviously I don't know if that is what this is at all. I could see instead I don't know, 2 15-minute cinematics that are done with the in-game engine rather than their, beautiful constructed ones. Kind of like the cutscenes in Miss Pandaria, when Terranzu was fighting Garrosh and stuff. And, talk for a little bit, show a cinematic, talk for a little bit, show a cinematic, talk for a little bit, move on to the next thing.
I think most likely scenario is they are doing kind of an art segment.
Well, that's boring.
Yeah, I know. But it's just most likely, in my opinion, because you have more people talking about it than actual video content on the screen, because video content is expensive and people talking on a stage isn't all that expensive. That's how I feel like they'll fill that hour.
All right. Next, we have Hearthstone. What's next? More cards, right? I don't think Hearthstone is that complicated that you are I imagine they'll reveal some really cool stuff for Hearthstone here in terms of what's next, but I don't really see this being game breaking. There's only so much innovation that really goes into card games. I mean, making the comparison to Magic the Gathering, every set comes out with something new, but in the end, it always just comes down to more cards. Hearthstone has a little bit of an advantage with check it out, new adventure, new adventures coming out, and you're going to storm Icecrown or whatever. But really, do you guys picture anything coming along that isn't just new cards?
New dice to go with the cards? I don't know.
Card back art? No, I think maybe they're going to do some sweeping change to how you play Hearthstone, how you buy cards. Maybe they say this has worked for a while, but we want to take it in more of a X direction. Who
Sure.
knows?
Yeah, and they could talk about other non-card content. You already said the adventures. There was always the option of adding more classes, something I would be very interested in seeing. Or maybe other types of new mechanics. It doesn't necessarily just have to be cards, although the cards are going to be the main focus.
Because that's what makes the game what it is.
Maybe they're releasing a Demon Hunter class, do you think?
Oh,
do they have a Death Knight class?
No, there's no Death Knight yet, so if they release a Demon Hunter without releasing a Death Knight, I will be very angry.
Right. I figured they were keeping it kind of in step with Warcraft. I guess they don't have Monk either, right?
No.
Nope.
But we'll definitely get the Demon Hunter first. Because, yeah.
Well, they might do that.
Cross promotion, it's big.
Build up some hype.
Then there'll be StarCraft Medic. That'll be the next class.
That'd be pretty epic. Although I do believe they said that there would be zero crossover of the games. Hearthstone is going to be pulling strictly and exclusively from World of Warcraft. So the next one, and this one probably made me the most sad. We've talked previously about how they're hiring a bunch of positions and stuff for big Diablo themed positions, as redundant as that sounded, and this tentative schedule, and it is tentative. I mean, maybe something happens at the opening ceremony, I don't know, but we only get one thing for Diablo in the entire con, and it's on the first day, and it just is labeled Diablo 3 Dev Talk, which that does not sound very, the devs talking and stuff is very interesting, it's very cool, but that sounds much smaller than what everyone had been kind of talking about because of, Reaper of Souls is starting to get old. We should hopefully be seeing something new with Diablo coming soon. And a dev talk doesn't say to me new Diablo stuff.
Very true. One thing I was thinking might happen at BlizzCon was the possible announcement of a Diablo expansion. So I'm honestly surprised that seems to be nothing for Diablo. Or, on the whole, nothing for anything, really.
It just seems wrong. The gap between Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, and Diablo 3 was very large, but I kind of get this feeling like Blizzard wants to, kind of squeeze more. I don't want to make Blizzard sound like a greedy money bag, but they like to make money. And Diablo is very popular right now, and I feel like releasing more stuff for it could... I would love to purchase something right now for Diablo, I guess is what I'm getting at. And I really hope that we get something for Diablo. I don't think it'll be Diablo 4, but I wouldn't mind seeing a second expansion for Diablo.
Again, Diablo 2 had one expansion before Diablo 3 came out, if I'm not mistaken, or was there a second?
No, there's only two. There was only the one. There's Diablo 2 and then the one expansion, which was Lord of Destruction.
So I guess something that kind of is going to come up a lot as just time goes on. They have so many franchises happening. When are we going to get a Warcraft or World of Warcraft 2, Warcraft 4? Yeah, these things are just kind of unknowable. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be one of their announcements that this is in development and all of our questions and or prayers will be answered depending on what you want to happen.
Sure. So maybe normally they make big announcements. Like the announcement last year for Overwatch came at the opening ceremony. So maybe at the opening ceremony we get the announcement for whatever the next Diablo thing, but it's a ways away. So the Diablo 3 dev talk is just going to be them talking about it, and that's really as far as it goes.
Maybe. And I'm sure a lot of fans have things they want to ask the developers. I don't know how much of a presence the Diablo 3 developers have in the community. So really more hardcore players, and you guys know more about this than I do. Do you guys have any questions that you wish the Diablo developers would talk about during a panel like this, pertaining to the game as it kind of is now?
When are they going to fix my friggin' buff bar? But not really, no. Florian, what about you as the fellow Diablo player on this little trifecta?
My only real questions would be, when is the next expansion, and is it going to have a Necromancer class? And number 2 is definitely going to be no, so I'm not even going to bother asking. I spare myself disappointment.
Sorry, that's supposed to be the Witch Hunter, and it's not nearly as cool. Sorry. Moving on from that, we have Overwatch. What's new is the first of the Overwatch panels. Now, I personally hope and pray between the opening ceremony, Overwatch What's New, and on day 2, the World of Overwatch, please tell me that you're opening the beta soon, because I want to play that game.
And really, that's the main thing that I'm hoping will happen at BlizzCon, since it seems right now like nothing else is going to happen. The main big thing that could happen would be the Overwatch beta.
Just open it right then and there. Just be like, you can download it right now.
Well, to be fair, that might happen. I mean, if you look at the schedule, they've got twice as much time allotted to Overwatch than they do to Diablo 3, which is an actual game that people are playing right now.
Right.
So I could see something like that happening.
Well, I imagine Overwatch What's New is going to be talking about like that, because they have two: Overwatch What's New and the World of Overwatch. Overwatch What's New sounds to me as of kind of like let's talk about how things work, what's happening, how things are going to work, and I imagine obviously they want to make money off of this game. They said the game is going to be free, so we'll probably get to see something along the lines of what their monetization is for Overwatch and the what's new, as well as gimmicks, mechanics, map stuff like that. And then the world of Overwatch literally sounds to me like just the story, why this world exists.
Yeah, I'd like to get a cool kind of lore perspective. That's something I guess they haven't revealed too much of. League of Legends has lore perspective. Heroes of the Storm is, I guess they're kind of leaving that out. This is just like a universal anomaly. But some other small games, I don't know about Hearthstone, but yeah, this is pretty common. We'll see where they kind of take it.
Hopefully to high places, because I want to just waste my soul away into that game. So back to StarCraft real quick. The last actual panel on day one before they go to contests, such as like fan creations, and the more popular one is the cosplay contest that happens at BlizzCon. But there is StarCraft 2 panel at the end of day one and the beginning of day two. The one at the end of day one is StarCraft 2 units from blueprints to battlefield, and the one on day two is StarCraft 2 sounds from the void. So these are both, to me, sound like kind of like art spotlights, but one is from the visualization of creating units, and the other one is the music and the voices and stuff.
Sounds like a fair assessment. It's pretty much behind the scenes, I suppose, of the development process. That's what that kind of thing looks like to me.
So now here's where one of my questions comes in with things like these. Maybe it's bigger than I think it is, but both of these panels, both of which have an hour, kind of feel like filler to me. Do either of you get that feeling?
Yes, a little bit. Not only from those, but from a lot of the other things. It seems like someone realized shortly before BlizzCon that they didn't have anything big to talk about, so they were just like, "Oh, let's just get some developers in here to talk about how they make the games, do something to fill time, because we can't just shorten or cancel BlizzCon because that looks bad."
Right. And I mean, that same comparison with Heroes of the Storm, there's 3 panels on there. I accidentally skipped over one for day one. There's Heroes of the Storm Hero Design, Heroes of the Storm State of the Game, Heroes of the Storm Battlegrounds. I mean, maybe they announce like some future heroes on the hero design, maybe announce a new battleground at Battlegrounds, but these are each an hour long, and all of those just kind of sound like, well, like I said previously, is kind of fillery. Evan, what were you about to say?
Yeah, sorry for the dogs barking in the background, but yeah, I think this is these are the kind of like dev talks and just kind of explanations, deep kind of insight into the game, and just being able to talk to the people who made the game that you like so much. I think a lot of people really look forward to just these things, and they're glad that they're a nice hour long. It's a good amount of time to kind of sit, and do convention stuff. Listen to a really good panel discussion. Plus, you get to ask questions a lot of times. I think this is good material, and the way they've kind of split it up, it kind of gives all of the games in their cycle on each day. They have an hour or two, on the first day and the second day. And I think it's kind of designed for widespread kind of appeal. Announcements are really exciting, but sometimes the meat of the discussions is what people are really there for.
I think what it is last year we had such a spectacular BlizzCon with the announcement of Overwatch and all of the stuff that happened. It just everything at BlizzCon last year felt very big and large and flashy, and this year feels very passive and let's just get this over with kind of feeling.
Yeah, and maybe you'd look at these and you schedule your departures from the convention center based around what you're interested in seeing, what you're not, and getting a bite to eat. A lot of these things are separated by 15 or 30 minutes all day long, so you're going to want a break,
Sure.
Pick and choose probably.
All right, let's go ahead and abandon the BlizzCon schedule. Go to our third and last piece of news, and that is the Blizzard put out a blue post, and we've talked about this previously. The lack of community manager communication. So we talk about how the devs have gone silent. Well, actually, most of the time, it's not the devs necessarily that are talking to you. It's a CM or a community manager. These were people who part of their job is to speak to the community. And they just kind of wanted to like put out a post that said, yo, you guys need to calm down. Because their jobs actually involve more than just talking to us. I mean, we would love to exist in a world where the universe surrounds us and everyone just needs to feed us information and communication on a silver platter at all times. However, it doesn't always work that way. So, going down the list real quick, they wanted to just kind of point out to us some of the things that they do outside of chatting with us. So they create localized and published content and official information. They review and forward feedback that we give them, whether it's hateful or not. Part of it is the interaction with players. They also are the ones that organize contests and giveaway and plan and execute events such as BlizzCon or Gamescom, which I imagine takes a lot of their time. And they also work on supporting and the investigation of fan creation such as blogs, streams, videos, competitive events, etc. Because when someone does a competitive event for Hearthstone, Blizzard tends to want to know about it, especially considering Team Archon with Amaz. Recently, a few months ago, did a tournament for Hearthstone that had a $250,000 prize pool, and that tends to get Blizzard's attention. So
I think a lot of this, what they're saying, is about kind of getting their attention. What they're saying is that they're doing a lot of things, and the forum is only part of their responsibility. They use it to track trends, they say, and to stay abreast of what's going on in the community, but mostly it's a tool for us to discuss the game amongst ourselves, right?
Right.
I think they are not really members of the discussion community as much as we probably want them to, but I think they do respond to trends, and if we just kind of unify and ask for certain information, then we get a response, but they're not going to respond without kind of it being a trend, so maybe they're like the Wizard of Oz. We have to band together to get a response out of the great Wizard of Oz,
Well, not only that, I mean, I think a lot of the times people will post things on Twitter and forums and stuff that are really kind of small and petty. And with as few community managers as they have and as many of us as there are, I think they have to be a little bit selective in what they respond with. And I mean, respond to, because I mean, they can't answer everything because there's just too many of us whining and yelling for them to do that.
Yeah. And we also talk about how to get, how to contribute constructively to the discussion and isn't really whining, it doesn't do anything. Maybe if you want responses from the community members, a thread about, this thread got their attention. There was enough of an outcry, I guess, and it's just about focus and in the name of being constructive. That's how we get them involved when it's all positive,
Right. I mean, while we enjoyed the time when the devs and everyone were just like talking from their own Twitters and everything, and information was abundant and questions were answered all over the place, I still don't feel like they're being that quiet. I mean, there's still tons of Twitter posts and stuff going out. I just think it's that people are upset because they're no longer answering the big, difficult questions. And, they're being a bit more selective and a bit more withdrawn, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, they were kind of digging themselves into a lot of holes there for a while.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe they're being more judicious now. I wasn't following the community so much. I don't know if the community's changed kind of in response to Blizzard quieting up. And it's all just moving forward, it's going to change over time. And looking at the history, you have to look at it in the full context. What was the community like then? We talk a lot about what the Blizzard representatives were doing.
What do you think, Florian?
This is the same conversation we've had a million times, so I'm kind of getting tired of it.
Figure it out once and for all.
I'm gonna be real. It's Blizzard's just gonna communicate the way they want to communicate, and that's gonna change over time as the company and what they want to do changes. The community managers definitely, I will agree. People had a lot of a wrong idea about what they did. Because, if all they do is talk to people, they're not community managers, they're customer service reps. That's a totally different job title.
Sure.
And, yeah. I'd like to have more interaction with the devs. Probably won't happen, though. So, it is what it is.
Basically, people,
sure is.
Give them a break. That's what you need to do, is give them a break.
Yeah, that's why we ended up in this situation to begin with, is because people didn't want to give the devs a break.
Let them do their job so that we can get awesome games to play.
Well, they have to have people yelling at them on the internet to know how to do their job correctly. How else would they know exactly what to do?
They make so much more money than me. Like, no, I don't need to yell at them for them to do their jobs correctly. I don't even know if I'd have a clue how to do their jobs. So, not my business. Anyway, I'm going to play this now. Again, everyone, I told you it is going to be a short show, and that is the entire show. We have been receiving emails for our contest. If you would like a free mount in the World of Warcraft, please send us an email at thecastbar@gmail.com or simply send out a tweet about the contest. You can craft it yourself. All you need to do is put on there the hashtag Castbar giveaway. That's all one word, CASTBARGIVEAWAY. If you would like to send in just any other time when we're not doing a contest, you can send us mail, questions, feedback, suggestions, and otherwise to that email of thecastbar@gmail.com. Find it on our website at www.thecastbar.com. Oh, and our Twitter is @CastbarPodcast, or you can call and leave us a voicemail at 508-738-2278. If you would like to find me, one of the best places on Twitter, which is @Schwahn Michael, that is SCHWAHNMICHAEL. I need to do a little personal plug real quick. I am working on a new project in which I am working with, what'll end up being a very sizable number of people, to do a kind of like a let's play of Final Fantasy VI, the original Super Nintendo game that's now been ported to Game Boy Advance and iOS, as well as Android. What we're going to do is we're going to do a let's play where we record the gameplay video, but we are going to be giving this game that has no voice acting, which is a very interesting project to be kicking off. If you would like to be considered for this project, I definitely need help. I definitely need lots of voice actors. I can't guarantee anyone a position because, sorry, but you might not be good at voice acting. If you are interested in that, though, please send me an email, which is schwahnmichael@gmail.com, SCHWAHNMICHAEL@gmail.com. We probably won't be even accepting auditions for a couple weeks since we're finalizing the script, and I will be happy to talk to you about that if you are interested. Evan, where are people able to find you?
Twitter. Send me a tweet. Follow me at EDCWow.
And Florian.
If you really need to talk to me, you can always just send an email to the Castbar.
Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. We will be back next week. Unless something unforeseen happens, we should have a full show for you next week. And where is my I seem to be missing my let's get out of here bumper. Let me see if I can't find it real quick. Not fast enough.
No, I can do it. You ready to go out?
Yeah, let's do it.
You are out of time.
You are out of time.